2.
Good morning, everyone. It is time for our Afternoon Delight quilt class. This is a all-time favorite pattern of ours. We have been doing this pattern in the shop for years. Sometimes we just need a quick gift, or we just want a quick something fun for the holidays. This is the quilt to make. You can make this in a couple of hours and then ready to quilt, and it's set to go. So this is our kit that we put together for you this year. This was the new Fa La 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 Gnomes. This was a Michael Miller fabric. They had some really great coordinate prints. We quilted Christmas trees all over it. So this quilt is made up of the following components. You use a center piece. It has an inner border. It has an outer border that goes around partially, and then it has two 4-patch borders. So very, very simple to do. So what we're going to do in this first video is we're going to talk about making 4 patches. I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I do it, the ways that I chain piece them, etc. We're going to then get all of our 4 patches made, and we're going to come back and we're going to get this guy assembled. So it is pretty quick for us to do. So what we're going to do is, if you look at your pattern, once again, this is a free download. We have we emailed it out to you with the supply list. We know that our website hosting company has had some problems with checking out with the free pattern, so we just sent you guys the PDF version of that. So on the Afternoon Delight, when you open it up, you are going to have some cutting instructions. And you're going to cut a rectangle from your main fabric. That rectangle is going to be 30.5 by 40.5. You're going to take your inner border and you're going to cut 4 1.5-inch strips. This is a really easy one. There is a correction to this pattern. And we're going to get this re-uploaded here shortly once I can get with Marissa for us to make the changes. On your inner border, you're going to cut 2 40.5-inch lengths. We're going to put our side borders on first, and then we're going to put the top and bottom border on. It's 32.5 inches, not 34.5 inches. However, I always recommend you just measure your quilt before you put on your top and bottom border. You are going to then cut 2 2.5-inch strips from your 2 4-patch fabrics. That's quite the tongue twister this morning. Those are going to make our 4 patches. And then you're going to cut yourself 4 4.5-inch strips by the width of fabric. So 4.5 by width of fabric for your outer border fabric, and just set that aside. What I did is, to go through today, I'm going to just piece together a half set of 4 patches on camera with you, and then we will go on to the rest. So the way when I go and I do this, I am going to just right sides together, and I'm just going to quickly sew these together. I'm not really interested, and I should say interested, I don't think you guys are super interested in seeing me strip piece. So I am just going to do a half strip. I've actually already sewn the other 4 patches together, but I did want to show you a couple of tricks, a couple of ways that I square this as I go, when I'm cutting, and how I put my 4 patches together. So let's head over to the cutting table and let's cut these 4 patches down. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the ironing board really quickly, and I'm going to set my seam, and then I'm going to press that open. Not open, I'm going to press it towards the blue. So if you're noticing, my fabric is different than the sample. I didn't think that we needed 2 samples, and so when I was working with Marissa the other day, and I said I need to get this stuff ready for me to film the Afternoon Delight class, she said, well, since you made pillowcases out of the Looney Tunes, why don't you make a matching little quilt for it? So that's something for you guys to always think about when you're doing these. If you want to make something really fun, make a set of pillowcases and then make an Afternoon Delight to go with it. I'm going to talk to you on the second video about increasing the size of the Afternoon Delight. So when I go to get my first cut here, as you can see, I've pressed this, I pressed it to the blue. I do have two different size fabrics here. That's just the manufacturer. I am not worried about my two outside lines. What I'm doing is I'm lining up this line right here on that crease. So right there on my pressed seam, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that. So now when I flip this over and I go to cut at the 2.5 inch mark, I am going to line up the line here, and you guys are going to notice that I have a nice straight cut. Now, depending on how this goes, about every 5 or 6 cuts, what I will do is I will slightly cut past this mark here, and so I'm just lined up there. I'm going to take it and then I'm going to flip it over and line up my 2.5 inch, lining up my lines. Let me get to a line there. And this will re-square any fabric. So now this piece is re-squared, and that's going to re-square so that my cuts are continually being that perfect 2.5 inches. Okay, now what I want to show you is, first of all, we are going to make some 4 patches out of this. So in your pattern, you are going to make 4 sets of 4 patch of units. So you're going to make 2 of them that are going to be 6 2.5 inch segments long. Then this is still missing a piece. You are going to make another one that is 11, and then we're going to sew this one together that is going to be 9. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, what you need to realize is that these are going to line up like this. So my 4 patches here are going to look like this. Okay, but this side needs to start the opposite. So see how my green is here so that it goes down. So this is going to be the corner of my quilt. You guys see how that goes? And then on the other side, and it's actually going to be down like this. So this will be the bottom side of it. And then the side I'm going to work on now is going to be the top side of it. So I need to make sure that when I'm making my 4 patches for the way down, that I have started them the right way. So this is a unit, and then this is going to be it's going to go just like this, okay? So that when they make that corner, you keep that checkerboard in place. All right, so I've laid it out to make sure visually I'm correct. All right, so I need one that's 9 long. All right, let me grab my glue pen. So I am going to glue right here on that 1/4 inch seam. I have pressed this so that they are going to nest. So there's the bottom. Here's my next one. Here is my next one. Once again, I'm just feeling right there to make sure they are nested in place. Here's my next one. And then I am going to go ahead and leave that one to the side. So let's head to the sewing machine. I now have these ready to go. Don't have to think about it. I'm going to come right in and sew my 1/4 inch seam. And I'm just going to chain piece these really quickly. Okay, so I've chain pieced these. I'm gonna head to the pressing table. Now, it doesn't matter to me which way these get pressed because they are all gonna be the same. So once again, I thought that I would show you a little further into chain piecing since I've had quite a few questions about how I do it. Okay, so I go ahead and I'm going to press my 4 patches before I assemble them again. So I now know there is the piece, so I want to just reline up to make sure that I have these in order, and I can see this is where it's going to turn its corner. So once again, I am going to take my glue pen, and in case you guys haven't seen this, so I take just a damp paper towel that's not super wet, and then I just leave my glue pen during the day when I'm working on stuff. It doesn't get sticky. It keeps it moist, and it doesn't dry out and things like that. I'm gonna just take this one to here. I'm gonna take this one to here. So nest that in place, and then I'm gonna go ahead and flip this up, and I'm gonna nest this one into place. All right, let's head back to the machine. So what I've done here is I've got everything all ready to go. And I'm going to sew those. And then I have this last piece. I don't have to worry about where it is because it's glued in that spot, so I know what side goes up against, goes into the machine for the 1/4 inch seam. And since I'm here at the machine, I know that if I take this piece and I open up this piece, I am going to have them right there. I did not bring my glue back with me, so I am just going to throw a pin in this one. I've realized during filming I should probably keep one of everything at either the cutting table or the sewing table, then I don't chase it all over the sewing room all day. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish up this 4 patch. So let's head over to the pressing table. I'm going to just press the last of these 4 patches. Okay, so now I have made my 4 patch units. See what I mean? You got to make sure they're going the right way. So I had that one upside down. So you are going to make a 6 unit, a 6 unit, 11 unit, and a 9 unit. These are what are going to go around the center. So let's go back to the sewing table. And I told you that I'm using Looney Tunes. So you are going to take your center panel. You're going to take your center panel and you are going to put that border all the way across it. So when we come back for the next video to wrap this up, what I want you to do is put your border onto your center panel and to make your 9 patch units, and then we will continue from there. So we'll see you back here in just a little while, and we'll wrap up putting this all together.